Welcome back to season 2 of Snubs and Dubs, where we've been talking about the Snubs and Dubs of the 87th Academy Award for Best Picture. I'm your host, Kyle Tobiasson, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Miller. Jason, how you doing today?
Kyle, I am doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Didn't let anything in my house this week, so.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because I recently watched a documentary dealing on allowing things into your house.
Right.
And what happened is this really annoying kid almost died. And I mean, it sounds awful because they couldn't finish the job. And I'm now learned that you need to let even more into your house if you want to get some actual results.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Did you watch anything this week?
I watched a couple of things this week.
All right.
The first of all, we saw together.
Yes.
Which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then I went back for Everything Everywhere All at Twice. And it was still good on the second watch. Kyle, this is a good movie.
It's a damn fun movie.
It is. It's unique. It is its own thing. It obviously plays on the usual movie tropes and whatnot, but it has such a fun flair.
Yeah.
This is the multiverse that I wanted to see in the theaters where it's like batshit insane. It's not just, in this world, Marvel superheroes blew it up. In this world, they didn't. No, we have hot dog fingers. We have what the people want.
Yeah. Raccacoonie.
It was genius. Oh, I saw some people online kind of ragging on it for Raccacoonie. To me, perfect balance of goof in your face. It cuts through really good emotional moments to kind of bring some levity. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
The one complaint I have about that is in Ratatouille, his name isn't Ratatouille, it's Remy. No. Raccacoonie, he probably should have had a name.
Have you ever seen Ratatouille? It's the titular Ratatouille. You have Ratatouille and his human companion, Ratatouille's monster.
Oh my God. But yeah, I loved how they had pretty much like 4 or 5 main multiverse areas that they went to, and all of them wrapped up. Like they were all like kind of side gags in a way, but they all had like an arc too.
Yeah, especially the hot dog finger world, which really is introduced in a stupid throwaway way where it's the kind of thing that you wouldn't expect to have any kind of arc to it because it's a gag, but they give it like actually a kind of sweet storyline.
Yep. And there's like the one where she's a celebrity because she learned kung fu instead of going with her husband, and just so many cool stuff.
And I really love that because the story in part is about living a difficult lower class, almost lower middle class. I don't know, but like around the poverty line or close to it life with your husband, seeing a world without him where everything looks great, but kind of realizing that it doesn't mean anything without that person. Yeah. And that's super sweet.
Yeah. Like she's told she has the most boring version of her life. Like every other version of her branched off from this in a more positive way.
Yeah.
And she's just the one that's been on the more negative path the entire
time. Every time she takes the 1B.
And so like, you'd think that she does see more appealing moments in these other lives, but, comes to the realization that her family is just so important, and it's so moving.
It's so moving.
It's such an absurd movie, and yet to still come around and be narratively and emotionally satisfying.
Yeah.
You got to give him a hand. Like Daniels, they pulled it off.
I'll give him 2. You know what? I'll throw in the second for free. But on top of that, I also watched a movie called Windfall, which came out this year.
Okay.
Starring Jason Segel, Lily Collins, and Jesse Plemons.
I've seen this. I haven't seen it, but I've seen of this, yes.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good idea because like a quick rundown is that Jason Segel's character just broke into a house and then the people who own it came home early or unexpected, and then he kind of unwittingly thrown into a hostage situation to cover his tracks. That's all introduced in the first couple minutes, so that's not really spoilers. Jason Segel starts off a weird pick, but you grow into him.
Yeah.
It's just a really low stakes movie. The tension that I kind of thought would slowly build throughout never really does. So it's fine. It's a breezy movie. It has some good moments. I do think the 3 actors gave like good enough performances. Like I wouldn't throw it out there as like a crazy must see movie of this year. but it's a can-see movie this year. You can go see it.
Yeah. I like all the actors that are in there. I especially love Jesse Plemons. Everything I watch with him, he's always great. But yeah, I saw this and I was interested about it, but then I heard it was kind of like just okay, and so I never just gave it any time. But
I think it's a lot in the writing.
Yeah.
I think all the actors give what they have a good shot, but it's just it's not the strongest thing ever put onto a camera.
Cool.
But that's been my week of watching movies.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
I didn't really watch anything else other than Molly and I have been getting through What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show.
And I've heard Banger City.
Yeah, it's like, it is kind of classic half-hour comedy in a way wherein the setup episodes are funny, but they're not like amazing.
Yeah.
But once it starts to catch its stride, dude, it fucking hits. There's like one episode in particular where one of the characters decides that it's time for them to become an American citizen. And it was just the funniest shit, and everything after that. And the cameos they can get from this show, I mean, it's created by the original two that made the What We Do in the Shadows movie that maybe we'll talk about later. Who knows?
Oh, maybe. I mean, that came out this year. That's kind of suspicious.
But Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement? I think it's Clement. I know there's like, it's almost lemon, but there's a couple of add-ons in there. And so they created the show, and I think they wrote some episodes and directed some episodes, but they have massive pull, like huge pull, like literally like A-list celebrity level cameos for this FX cable TV show. And it baffles me sometimes. You'll be watching it and you'll be like, that's fucking this person. I don't want to say anyone because it always baffled me, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like Taika has so much pull. He could get anyone that he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone just wants to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And if they have to cameo in one of his shows to do it, hell, they'll do it.
Yeah. And there are some of the Marvel faces get involved. So there's maybe a bit of a tight crew there, but
because he did Thor.
Yeah. Both Thor Ragnarok and the new Thor 4 Love and Thunder, more Thor. So
what? Is that the actual title?
No, it's called Love and Thunder, but Thor 4 more Thor is just fun to say.
That is.
All right, well, let's get into the movie we actually watched this week. Of course, season 2 of Snubs and Dubs has been covering the films from the year 2014, and for episode 11, we are talking about The Babadook. Have you seen this before?
I have seen this before. I don't think it was in theaters. I don't remember when or where I watched it, but I have seen it. And I think it was like maybe a year or two after release. Yeah. So it's been a minute. But I remembered the big hits of the movie. And I remember going into it that I fucking hate this kid so goddamn much.
Yeah.
Have you seen it before?
I was kind of the same as you. I wasn't able to watch it until the Blu-ray release. And so I bought the Blu-ray and then watched it at home. And yeah, similar experience. It was closely after it had come out. I think it might have been 2015.
Yeah.
But it was I definitely hated that kid. One thing to note though, this was not actually eligible for the Academy Awards this year.
Really? And why would that be?
Because I think Australia had to put up a film for Best International Feature, and they didn't put this, and so therefore it wasn't eligible because it didn't have a US release within that time. Oh,
maybe that's why we didn't watch this in theaters.
Yeah, possibly.
Did it ever come to...
Yes, it did come to theaters, so maybe it just... I don't know. It's some weird qualification stuff. We didn't get that fussy about it.
No, here's the thing, folks. Here's where we draw the line. They tried. This isn't on Babadook, so we're not going to knock it from the season eligibility just because Australia messed up. Okay, they're upside down there. They don't know up from down. We can't blame them for missing on this one.
Yeah, we're living in the reality where they did nominate this for their Best International Feature Award.
And you know what? In that world, it won everything too. Yeah. Good job, Babadook. You are the picture.
Have you watched it since then?
No, haven't seen it since, although I would have been open to it. I would have been interested to go back and watch it because I remembered liking it, but I wish I remembered the circumstance in which I watched it because I know I have. For a fact, I know I have, but I can't put my finger on when.
Yeah, I haven't seen this since I watched it in 2015. So
yeah,
but
Shall we dive in?
Let's dive in.
All
If
right.
you were interested in the Babadook, I've included the links to the physical media related to it in the show notes. If you buy through that link, it'll help out our show. Or if you have any other Amazon shopping to do, follow our general link to help out our show in the process. A reminder, this is going to be a spoiler-filled conversation, so if you haven't seen the Babadook yet and you want to, go ahead and do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. Wait, further ado?
Oh, not a second too late. The Babadook is a 2014 Australian psychological horror film. I mean, Australian psychological horror. It's kind of repeating yourself there. Hey?
Yeah, just living in Australia, that's like, there's enough dangerous creatures around there that being there is psychologically horrifying.
Yeah. It is written and directed by Jennifer Kent in her directorial debut.
Wow.
Well on you, Kent. It's based on her 2005 short film Monster. It is starring Essie Davis as Amelia, Daniel Henshaw as Robbie, Noah Wiseman as Samuel, Haley McElhaney as Claire. That is such a funny name. Haley McElhaney. I did not notice, despite writing out that name. I didn't notice until saying it.
Did you say it out loud before? Yeah.
It's a Ronald McDonald-ass name.
You do the McElhaney and he turns himself around.
And also Barbara West as Mrs. Roach,
yeah.
but that's less important.
Yeah.
It has a runtime of one of our favorite numbers, 93
Ooh,
minutes.
that's a great
Oh,
number.
yeah. And it was released on May 22nd, 2014 in Australia. I don't know if, when, how it went anywhere else.
I'm sure it got here eventually.
I think it escaped on a boat or something like that, and then the world was able to witness it. What did you think of it?
I really like this.
Mhm.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second time I maybe didn't enjoy it as much,
Yeah.
but it is still a good movie. However, in retrospect too, I think modern horror stuff has evolved, and this was a part of the start of that. But now I think there are better movies than this,
Mhm.
which is that's just in retrospect and comparing to other stuff. And so it's interesting to see the kind of like somewhat of a root, like an origin of this kind of new elevated horror type genres thing.
Yeah.
But there's so much nowadays that's like that,
Mhm.
that is maybe better, that it's hard
Yeah.
to not compare.
It opened the door to a lot of new things.
Yeah.
It let a lot of new movies in,
Mm-hmm.
you could say. When I first watched this, I remember thinking, that's not a horror film. But then the second time I watched it, I kind of thought, that's not really a horror film.
Yeah.
It's kind of more, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It is wrapped up in the cloak of being a horror movie.
Yep.
But the actual pale man with the top hat of the movie is it's an emotional journey
Yes.
through like depression. I'm assuming motherhood,
Mhm.
probably the same thing. And it kind of has more of like an arc where like the monster isn't an outside force that the character's trying to overcome. Like
Yeah.
it is the character herself. And
Mhm.
that kind of changes how it feels. Cause you're not really scared for anyone in particular.
Yeah.
It's creepy. There's times where you might not know how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's not this kind of house horror where it's like, okay, daytime, you're safe. We're going to do some plot development. We're going to explain why the police can't do anything. Okay, now it's nighttime and the monsters are back again. It's kind of just, it all bleeds into each other, which is a really cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, like it's a big allegory for grief, basically. And you know, how
Good
you can
grief.
let, actually, it's pretty bad grief.
It's really bad grief.
But like in how, you know, if you don't get a handle on it, you can overcome you. And
Yeah, you start killing your kid.
Yeah,
It happens every time. We've seen this before.
and like, yeah, it's supernatural, and he's clearly like a demon type character, and you know, it's taking that allegory for grief to the horror level and actually putting a monster behind it. But it does stem from just kind of the idea of, you know, this woman in mourning, and she's been in mourning for 7 years and has been letting that affect her relationship with her son and her relationship with everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's definitely interesting. But yeah.
Well, shall we get a little plot going?
Let's get a little plot going.
Just a little one.
All right. So Amelia is an Australian widow who has brought up her 6-year-old son, Sam, after her late husband, Oscar, was killed in a car accident that occurred as he drove Amelia to the hospital during labor. Sam begins displaying erratic behavior. He becomes an insomniac and is preoccupied with an imaginary monster against which he has built weapons to fight. Very crafty kid.
Very crafty kid. He has a future in engineering because at age 6,
Yeah.
I think, he's built a backpack mounted what's it called? Like thrower thing? Catapult. Yeah. How Kevin McAllister has fucking nothing on this guy.
Yeah, and he built like a crossbow too with like actual darts. Like
he will be a great engineer, but the police should keep an eye on him at all times.
Amelia is forced to pick up her son from school after Sam brings one of his weapons there and she withdraws him from the school. One night, Sam asks his mother to read a pop-up storybook that he found called Mr. Babadook. It describes the titular monster, the Babadook, a tall, pale-faced humanoid with a top hat and taloned fingers which torments its victims after they become aware of its existence. Amelia is disturbed and Sam becomes convinced that the Babadook is real. Sam's persistence about the Babadook leads Amelia to have other sleepless nights as she tries to comfort him. Soon after, strange events occur. Doors open and close mysteriously by themselves. Strange sounds are heard, and Amelia finds glass shards in her food. She attributes the events to Sam's behavior, but he blames the Babadook. Amelia rips up the book and disposes of it. At her birthday party, Sam's cousin Ruby bullies Sam for not having a father. What a bitch.
What a dick. Okay, like she gets pushed out of the treehouse. Yeah. She breaks her nose. She had it coming. What she really deserved was that and an elbow off the top bar from Sam afterwards.
Yeah, because this child like was just saying everything to get this. Like, you know that this kid has, you know, built weapons and you don't like him because he's weird. Yeah. Should you really be doing that?
You're really poking the bear right now, kid.
Oof. So she falls down from the treehouse and breaks her nose after Sam pushes her. Amelia's sister Claire admits that she cannot bear Sam, to which Amelia takes great offense. On their drive home, Sam has another vision of the Babadook and suffers a seizure, so Amelia gets some sedatives from the pediatrician. One thing that I will say, this kid's awful. Like, he's annoying.
This kid sucks ass. Absolutely, yes.
The child actor, unbelievable.
That's how good the actor is, because he's still... You might think, okay, they just found the most annoying kid in Australia. They had a contest. Instead of like Australia's Got Talent, it's Australia's got really whiny kids who scream a lot. But no, they found a kid who can do all of that, but have like an innocence to him that arcs at the end. That's insane.
Yeah. And like when he's seizing up, like that was very convincing.
Was he actually just having a seizure on camera?
Because like the way he kind of contorted his body and like his eyes rolled up in his head. Like, I don't know if they maybe augmented some of that with CGI, but it looked like he was doing it all himself. And gotta give him props.
I mean, on that budget, I don't know if they did a lot of CGI.
So the following morning, Amelia finds the Mr. Babadook book reassembled at the front door. New words taunt her by saying that the Babadook will become stronger if she continues to deny its existence, continuing pop-ups of her killing their dog Bugsy, then Sam, and then herself. Terrified, Amelia burns the book and runs to the police station after receiving a disturbing phone call. However, Amelia has no proof of the stalking, and then when she sees the Babadook's suit hanging up behind the police's front desk, she leaves. Amelia starts to become more isolated and shut in, becoming impatient, shouting at Samuel for, quote, disobeying her constantly and having frequent visions of the Babadook once again. Her mental state slowly decays and she exhibits erratic and violent behavior, including cutting the phone line with a knife and then waving it at Sam aggressively without realizing. This devolves into disturbing hallucinations where Amelia violently murders Sam. Shortly after these visions, Amelia sees an apparition of Oscar, her husband, who offers to return to her if she, quote, brings the boy to him. Realizing that this is a creation of the Babadook, Amelia flees and is stalked through the house by the Babadook until finally it possesses her. Under its influence, she breaks Bugsy's neck and attempts to kill Sam. Eventually luring her into the basement, Sam knocks her out in, you know, kind of classic Kevin McAllister fashion. Like, he had traps like ready.
He was, I mean, I don't know how long that Amelia was in this state. The kid had time to prepare. He was ready to go to war.
Yeah, he was. And he like hits her with the catapult ball, which doesn't really do much in the end. But
I mean, also absolute snipe show. Like, this kid must have been practicing. He's got that thing down to an art.
And he manages to like tie her up.
Yeah. Also, when did he learn to tie knots? Can he even tie his shoes yet? How is he tying his mom down?
Well, tied up, Amelia awakens with Sam terrified nearby. When she tries to strangle him, he lovingly caresses her face, causing her to regurgitate an inky black substance, which seemingly expels the Babadook.
I just want to say, if I've ever touched a woman's face, they do that too.
Oh, God. When Sam reminds Amelia that, quote, you can't get rid of the Babadook, an unseen force drags him into Amelia's bedroom. After saving Sam, Amelia is forced by the Babadook to rewatch a vision of her husband's death, which, God, did that guy actually have his head just like slit diagonally? Because,
I guess
oh my
so.
God.
Yeah. Also, what I love is it's somewhere in here. She says the line, you know how many times I wished it was you that died instead of him?
Yeah.
Talking to Sam, referring to the husband. Did she want her unborn kid to drive? Like, how was that going to work? The driver died. What were you expecting him to just crawl out and drive you to the hospital, deliver himself? Come on.
Oh my God. So furious, Amelia confronts the Babadook, making the beast retreat into the basement, and she locks the door behind it. After the whole ordeal, Amelia and Sam manage to recover. Amelia is attentive and caring towards Sam, encouraging him towards the weapons he has been making and being impressed with Sam's magic tricks, which, okay, so this guy, he's got some good magic tricks.
He's pretty good.
Where the fuck did he get a dove?
I don't know. I'm a little concerned. That's like some Arrested Development shit. Have you ever watched Arrested Development?
A little bit, but not much,
Okay, you might not have got deep enough to get to the recurring dove joke. But real strides of Arrested Development. And
Okay,
yeah, but I don't know. And A, he caught a dove.
Yeah.
B, someone sold him a dove.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one's worse to think about.
Or maybe he's become friends with the Babadook and was like, hey, can you go get me a dove? Like, just go snatch one, please, from someone else grieving.
Don't worry, it's going to be for a Baba cookout.
So they gather earthworms in a bowl, and Amelia takes them to the basement where the Babadook resides. She places the bowl on the floor, and the Babadook takes it to eat. However, as the beast tries to attack her, Amelia calms it down, retreats it into the corner, and it takes the earthworms. Amelia returns to the yard to celebrate Sam's birthday, and that's where we end the Babadook.
Wow. Also, earlier in the movie, she takes away his birthday party as a punishment. Yeah. So for saving her life and his own, all he got back was just he was allowed to have a birthday party again. Come on, lady. Give him something here. He saved your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's like she's now more attentive. She's engaging with his crossbowing and his violent other weaponry, but
she still has an uphill battle to make him be a normal kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, he does an amazing job. So much so that you hate him so much in the beginning that even after he turns it all around and saves his mom, I would still cheer if he walked into traffic. I would not be bothered in the least.
There's one line that's my favorite when they're driving. Amelia's like, why can't you be normal? And he just responds with, ah! Just screams.
It's so fitting.
It's so good. I thought Robbie was going to come back more.
He wanted her so bad. But his character didn't really exist to do much other than kind of give her an out of work, and I think show that people still cared about her and that she was kind of closed off to them because she never reciprocates. Poor Robbie. He was putting on the moves. He was getting the pepper in there, bringing a gift to her supposedly sick kid at home. He was doing the work.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if she had like invited him over to his birthday afterwards, because then it shows that she's starting to maybe reach out and move on, but then it might not make sense because this is still the day that her deceased husband died. But
yeah, I think it's fine. He's just a small character.
Yeah.
I don't know why in the cast order he's above Sam. He gets like 2 scenes, but whatever.
I mean, he is a real one. Like he gives him like a model plane.
Yeah.
And just like tries to like, give him some crafty activities. Like that's probably a good engaging activity for that kid.
Oh, probably. And afterwards he gets to destroy it, which will be his favorite part too.
What I really like about this movie is how anxious it can make you.
Yeah.
Like they don't show the Babadook like really ever. Like it's like maybe twice, 3 times. They use him very sparingly. It's kind of like Jaws in that way where they don't really show the shark.
Yeah.
But you're still anxious about it. And the way that they use the camera and the music and just like weird or not weird, but like deliberate shot choices all work to make it that kind of anxiety inducing movie. And then this kid just basically like nails on a chalkboard, just grinding into you. It just gives you this feeling that is what you want out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really like jump scare you, but it does give you that vibe pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah. Well, it does a really good job of setting up the slow entry of the Babadook into the house. It's not like a lot of movies where you get a couple hints of him and then suddenly one night he bursts the door down and he's there. It's slowly, Amelia gets a little more sick. a little more desperate. She crashes the car. She does a bunch of bizarre things, sitting in a bathtub with all of her clothes on.
Yeah.
And it's slowly him showing up until she's kind of at the full 0 to 60, where she's now completely broken. Then the Babadook shows up. And I think that's a really cool way to do that. You see a slow decay into the state that she becomes instead of just like busting down the door. Here's the Babadook.
Yeah. And it makes it clearer that it is because she is so caught up in her own grief.
Yeah.
And this is like, as it gets closer to his birthday, which is probably the pinnacle every year of her grieving, because it just reminds her so much of her husband's death, that like, that's like why it's building so much too. And because Sam is being so disruptive and disobedient, and because she can't see eye to eye with him, and then all these other occurrences are starting. And like, so yeah, there is a supernatural element of it, but it is so tied in with that grief, and it makes it really effective.
Yeah. It's cool watching the short film that it was based on too.
Yeah.
Because going from the 10-minute cut to the whole movie, you kind of see like what were the main beats that were there. And in the short film, it's like mom, son, dad's not there. It's not really about grieving. In that one, it's more about being a bad mother with like dirty dishes everywhere. She burns the food. She's not paying attention to the kid.
Yeah.
And a lot of that carries over, where a lot of her fears and a lot of the way that like her psychosis is coming through is thinking that there's bugs in the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's thinking there's glass in the food or if there really is glass in the food.
Yeah.
It seems to be a mix of both.
Yeah.
But it just kind of conveys the fears that because of her grief, she's being a bad mother, which confounds by the fact that she's a really bad mother.
Yeah.
She's not like making connection with her kid, only just yelling at him after he assaults another child somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a reasonable response, but what Sam needs and what she realizes later on is like, he needs to feel validated and seen basically, and have some attention given to him, even though he's a weird kid.
Just watch his magic tricks, lady.
Yeah. And just like engage with him. Like, and she does that at the end. Like she shows him, or she uses a crossbow with him, and she's kind of more accepting when he's like really just says the weirdest shit to the child services character.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And earlier in the movie too, when he goes to hug her and show some kind of affection, she tells him not to. She's uncomfortable with it because of her own internalized grief, because of the dead dad, the bad motherness.
Yeah.
So she's working through a lot. But it is a good ending. I really like that they have the Babadook hanging around, because I think that's a way more realistic way to show someone who has been dealing with intense grief, is that it doesn't go away cleanly. It's just something that you manage by feeding it worms every now and again, which is most of the way the therapists recommend you deal with any kind of mental health issues. Is just eat worms.
Yeah. The creature design too is really cool. Like it's simple, but effective. It's just kind of a guy in a trench coat and a top hat, darkened face, and the weird like,
little spindly
fingers,
feather hand things.
Yeah. But it works. It's all it needs to be. And like the way they use the shadows and him like raising his hands when they're in the bedroom, like it's really good. Like it just looks great.
It's a cool way to introduce him, and like it is scary and suspenseful, but it's not just like the reveal isn't one quick, you go from nothing to there he is. You slowly see parts of him, and then you get the full shot when he like jumps down at her from the ceiling.
Yeah. Which if that was me in that bed, I would just fucking just RIP, just done.
Yeah.
Because like that, somebody opened the door and she went under the blanket.
Yeah, no, I'm out the window. It's gone. Sorry, Sammy. Figured out your
throw Sam at them for a distraction. And then
please take my insane, batshit crazy kid. I just want to live.
Oh, well, how did this movie do reception wise?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say. According to Rotten Tomatoes critics, that's a 98.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. That's a high score.
That is high.
According to audiences, it's a 72. A little lower.
Yeah.
IMDb has it at a 6.8 and Metacritic an 86. So this was a hit with the critics.
Yeah.
And an okay with the audiences.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see somebody completely overlooking the entire grief thing and just thinking it is a weird low budget monster movie where they don't show the monster that much.
Yes. If you went into this hoping for like a scary, spooky horror movie,
Yeah.
you're not going to enjoy this.
No.
And that's probably where a lot of the criticism in the audience scores came from.
Definitely.
When I saw this, it was advertised to me as a scary movie, so I kind of expected it to be a scary movie, and then it wasn't. So I think the first watch, I was a little harsher on it because of that.
Yeah.
But then going back in, knowing what it is, damn, it's good.
It is good, yeah.
I would love to see like a first watch and second watch score, because I bet you if you came back for seconds, it's a lot higher up there.
Definitely. Especially after some time too. Like you get some time to kind of digest it and move past it a little bit and see everything else that's come out since it and how it's kind of inspired some of that. And then just to return to it, fresh pair of eyes, new perspective, know what it's about, and then
know to bring earplugs for the first half of the movie when the kid just screams at you the whole time.
Yeah.
That also probably put some people off. But you know what it didn't do so well in? The box office.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. This made maybe 10.5 million. I couldn't find a it was a lot of things in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Ballpark at 10.5 million. Only on a budget of 2 million though. So we had a good return. It didn't cost a lot to make. If you're looking for the number at the box office, find that and let me know. I couldn't find it. It was too low.
Oh, weird.
It did not make the top 300.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so down there. But more important than the box office number is our numbers. Kyle, coming into this, Babadook Part 2 of your watching, what would you give your enjoyment of the movie?
Yeah, I might seem a little harsh on it, but I think I'm only a 3.5 at enjoyment.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I don't really enjoy any particular part of this movie until you get to the end and you kind of reflect back on it as a package.
Yeah.
Of it's a good movie that does a lot of things really well and uniquely, that tells an interesting story, but it's not like something I'm sitting there spellbound every moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you need to get to the end to see how the story went to really love it. So I'm slopping down a 3 on that one.
Yeah.
What's your craft?
Yeah, like obviously it's low budget, first feature.
Yeah, $2 million budget.
Yeah, so I mean they did well with what they had. Mostly one location. Creature design's cool. Cinematography wise, it's not the most amazing, but they did make deliberate choices, which is kind of neat. I might go 3.5 again here.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling as well. For the exact same reasons. They did quite well with what they had. They didn't push the boundaries on that one. It's more the storytelling than how they told it. What's your
speaking of
execution?
Yeah, it's clearly well written and the performances are great. Like the actress that plays Amelia.
Oh my God,
she's great too. Like we've only mentioned the kid so far too, but her performance is really good.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 4 here. I think that's probably safe for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. I want it, maybe 4 might be a little high, but I want it to score in something.
Yeah.
It deserves it. It's just kind of slipping through the cracks of where we really love it.
And it's a tight 90 minutes. I mean, come on. It does not drag beat.
Tight 93. You can't hate that. And your rewatchability.
I don't know because I can't really say that I would necessarily be that driven to rewatch this, but that is not to say that I wouldn't rewatch this.
Yeah.
It's just my motivation to rewatch it, especially now watching it a second time, even 7 years later, it's just kind of low. So I might go 2.5.
I think that's a fair place to put it at. I'm going to go 3 on this one.
Yeah.
I need a breather from it, but I'm open to watching it again.
That's fair.
I'm glad I gave it the second watch. I definitely liked it a lot more number 2 than I did number 1, knowing what it was going to be. And I think I could watch this again, especially if I came across someone who enjoys horror movies but hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch it with them.
Yeah.
I think that could be a cool one. To tally it up, Kyle, you have given this a 13.5 out of 20 for a 68%. And I, as well, have given this a 13.5 out of 20 for a 68%.
Nice.
We are in agreement once again. But now, where we can really shake this up is where we put it in the ranking.
Yep.
Kyle, I'll slide you out what you got here. Number 1, The Grand Budapest Hotel, then Interstellar, Gone Girl, Nightcrawler, Lego, John Wick, Boyhood, Big Hero 6, Foxcatcher, American Diaper.
For me, it's going above Big Hero 6, below Boyhood.
Interesting. That's a good call. I am going very similar to you, but just one higher. I'm going to toss as above Boyhood.
Okay.
And below Lego Movie. so that it is going to be your number 8 and my number 7.
Damn, the divide continues.
It's I kind of feel like a little bit of a jerk because I made you have to split it off into 2 different graphics for slightly disagreeing on the placement of John Wick v Lego Movie.
Yeah.
But now, boy, we have 2 movies in different spots.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all worth it in the end. But I also absolutely stand by that.
And
John
we're in
Wick's
11 now, so we're at 4 graphics now. So
yeah, exactly. It was gonna happen.
it's bound to happen.
Yeah. Well, that is going to bring us to the next section, which would happen to be some fun Letterboxd reviews.
Oh, baby.
There were only a few.
Okay.
Don't get too excited.
Mine was fun.
I'm glad.
Mine was what I was telling you before we rolled, where I couldn't get the Reading Rainbow song out of my head. The butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look. It's in a book. The Babadook.
What did you give that for your rating in Letterboxd?
I think it was a 4, but I feel like I'm going lower now.
Yeah.
After thinking about it a little bit more. But
well, I'll start the fun Letterboxd review with Kyle, 4, and that. Next one, Minnick, 3.5 stars. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks of my depression as a gay man in a top hat that I feed worms to in my basement. There was a lot of people. I think there was a meme. I remember kind of briefly seeing it that was saying that the Babadook is a gay icon.
okay. Why
it was kind of a meme. It was kind of like a silly riff that people were doing.
Right.
So a lot of the reviews had to do with that.
Oh.
But they just weren't that funny. The next one, number 1 Gizmo fan. Because he's coming back. Every time there's a number 1 Gizmo fan, I go through when I'm doing fun Letterboxd reviews, I go through his profile to see if he's
oh my God.
reviewed a movie. And
We're a number 1
Babadook.
fan, number 1 Gizmo fan.
Number 1 Gizmo fan. 4.5 stars. My mom and I watched this 2 times in a row, and we hated the kid both times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
That's all he had. But we were going pretty thin. And last one. I went digging for this one because I knew someone was going to have this joke somewhere in the Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah.
Penis Jerry, not the joke. 5 star. No, sorry, 0.5 stars.
Oh, God.
This movie sucked Babadookie.
Oh, yep. There it is. The Babadookie.
It goes on. Brett, whoever recommended it to me wasted my time and can go to hell. So, sorry, Penis Jerry.
Yikes.
Screw that person. Awards details. Kyle, you already know this got nothing. Academy Awards. Wasn't eligible.
Nope.
You know where it did clean up? In
Horror
the
Awards?
land of Australia.
Ooh.
At the Australian Academy of Cinema and Television Arts. This won Best Film.
Good.
Also won Best Direction and Best Original Screenplay for Jennifer Kent.
Good for her.
So no looks for the performances,
Yeah.
but the movie itself got some love. And I think that's fine.
Yeah. I don't know how much love it would have gotten if it was eligible either.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have gotten anything.
One day we're going to get to the point where the Academy will recognize horror performances because there's so much screaming and crying. These dramas, they want screaming and crying roles.
Yeah.
They beg for screaming and crying roles because you think you're going to get the nom in a drama for a screaming and crying role. There's horror movies that are doing all these screaming and crying roles all the time.
Yeah.
And they're working really well. And
Like-
there's great performances.
Yeah, both the mom and the kid gave a really good performance.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're good enough for a nomination anyways, but they could have been in conversation.
Yeah.
If there was specifically for child actors an award, he'd probably get a nomination.
Yeah, probably.
He would probably do that, but that category doesn't exist and they weren't eligible, so they got nothing. You ready for some interesting facts?
Oh, yeah. Hit me with those interesting facts.
Director Jennifer Kent holds the rights to the film. When asked if there would be a sequel, she said, "I will never allow any sequel to be made because it's not that kind of film. I don't care how much I'm offered. It's just not going to happen."
Good for her.
Yeah.
Sticking to her guns.
There'll never be a Babadook. When asked where the idea for the Babadook came from, director Jennifer Kent said, "I have a friend who's a single mother whose son was traumatized by this monster figure that he thought he saw everywhere in the house. So I thought, well, what if it was real on some level? So I made Monster, a short film, about that idea. But I couldn't leave it alone. I kept coming back to it, and that led to the Babadook." She has also stated that Amelia suffers from an unprocessed trauma of witnessing a horrible death, and that it is up to the audience to interpret whether the Babadook is supernatural or psychological in nature. Ooh, you decide. I think
I
it's
feel like they didn't do enough to make it that much of a decision.
No,
Like,
to me, it's like Hundy P. It's psychological.
really? I think that there's like 100%. This is beyond psychological.
But
Like,
the
this is
Babadook
supernatural.
never interacts with anyone else.
Yeah.
How does it ever relate to the real world?
I guess so. But like, if the both of them are seeing it,
Well, the kid's seeing his mom.
but he can see the Babadook too.
He's been scared of monsters the whole movie.
Yeah, but he had a seizure.
The only times the audience ever sees the Babadook is the mom seeing the Babadook. You hear the kid screaming, but you hear the kid screaming about monsters from the first scene.
Yeah, but then he like flies in the air, and she goes in the basement and gives it worms, and they drag away.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's
what?
a
Is she just gonna have
metaphor.
like
That's
just
a
fucking 80
metaphor.
bowls of worms in their basement if it's not real? And she's
There's
just, or is
fishing
she the one eating the worms?
There's
in the
fishing
box?
supply stores. She could buy them. No, it's definitely psychological. The Babadook's not real, Kyle.
I feel like it's okay. Well, obviously it's a film, but like I feel
Look
like
at this guy. He thinks the Babadook's
oh
real.
my god.
Kidding.
But like I feel like it's a supernatural creature that targets people with unresolved grief.
Mm-hmm. And it's just permanently in her basement now. Like he's done.
Yes.
Like he's just good. Like no more ever again in the world because he's in the basement right now.
Well, it could be. I mean, this could be why she doesn't want the Babadook too, because if you make
Babatookie, please.
sorry, the Babatookie, because if you make it another Babadook in another person's life, and that's the only way you could do it,
Mm-hmm.
unless the Babadook escapes the basement, and then what?
Oh no. Okay. This is how you do Babatookie.
Okay,
She marries Robbie.
okay.
She gets pregnant.
Oh no.
They're driving to the hospital to deliver the kid.
Yeah. Oh, but then she dies.
No, Robbie dies.
Oh, fuck.
And it's just the same movie again.
See, I think it would be interesting if Robbie was the one that survived, and now he's having to raise Sam.
But the Babatookie, the real one, Sam is now in his mid to late 20s.
Right.
He has a kid.
Okay.
His wife dies delivering the kid. This kid, even more annoying as shit. And it's the movie again.
But you think Sam might be understanding because he was annoying as a kid and his mom had to deal with that?
He doesn't have a good attention span. He probably forgot about all of that. She was traumatizing.
Oh, man.
Anyways, back to fun facts.
Yeah.
Director Jennifer Kent mentioned at 31 minutes and 18 seconds in the DVD featurette cast and crew interviews, in case you're wanting to back this one up, that they auditioned 8 and 9-year-olds for the part of Samuel, but there was a knowing quality that crept into the performances that precluded the innocence the filmmakers were seeking. She also mentioned that Noah Wiseman was 6 years old, both when he auditioned for the role of Samuel and when the film was shot. So they went for a kid who was acting but didn't know or show that he knew he was acting. Kind of, in a way.
So he was a method actor.
He was a method.
He was one of those Jared Leto types.
I would rather be locked in a room with this little kid screaming at me to method act than have a 5-minute coffee conversation with Jared Leto.
Oh, man.
Director Jennifer Kent and Essie Davis attended drama school together. Kent specifically wanted Davis to play the abusive mother, knowing that she would also bring the right amount of heart to the character.
Dang. Supporting your friends.
There you go.
Good stuff.
Kyle, if I were to ever make a movie that had like an abusive piece of shit in it, it would be you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm kidding. That's just how, like, when I first read that, it read like shade.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of an abusive mother, you know who I thought of? Essie Davis.
My good friend.
Essie Davis. Well, I'm sure Essie Davis is not an abusive mother and probably a wonderful person, unless she's not, in which case, no, yeah. I don't know anything about Essie Davis.
Well, I don't know if she's been in much after that.
I don't recall her from anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm so bad at knowing actors.
She might be more like Australian local stuff.
I guess
possibly.
So. Unless Kent went to school outside of Australia. Is Essie Davis from Australia?
Yeah, they're all Australian.
Oh.
Everyone in the picture is Australian. From down under.
Wait, maybe the Babadook's just a big spider.
I mean, big enough to eat worms? Maybe.
Yes, I could see that.
Yeah, and maybe things look like they're moving on their own because he's spinning a web.
Ooh.
A see-through web like they used to do in the old movies.
There we go.
Tiny little fishing line.
It's not psychological. It's not supernatural.
It's just a big fucking spider.
It's a spider. Well, Kyle, do you have any last impressions, final thoughts, any quandaries about the Babadook?
No. I literally just held my tongue there because I said no.
The madman said no, and that was the end of a sentence. That wasn't no comma. That was no period.
Yeah. I mean, if you should watch it. I feel like it's worth a once over.
Yeah.
It's 90 minutes. You can do worse things with 90 minutes than watch The Babadook.
Yeah. Go in knowing that it's not actually like a straight up horror film like you might expect.
Mm-hmm.
It's an emotional journey.
Great. Do you have any final thoughts on The Babadook?
No. Oh, Wiseman was really good in this. And that's going to be it to wrap up my thoughts. It's worth a watch, but it's something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's different.
Well, I want to thank you all for listening to Season 2, Episode 11 of Snubs and Dubs. As always, you can find us everywhere on social media at Snubs and Dubs. That's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, etc. We're also on Good Pods, so make sure to check us out there and join our official Discord. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on The Babadook or on this episode. So please send us a tweet or a message with a question, recommendation, or anything else. I'm also at Kyle Tobiasson on Twitter, and Jason is at Wendy_Mills. Of course, all of those links are going to be in the show notes. Make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share the show to everyone you know, and check back next week for another episode. Here's a sneak peek of the film we're going to talk about.
Apes do not want war. You know the scary thing about them? They don't need power. Lights, heat, nothing. That's the advantage. That's what makes them stronger.
We both have families. You want to protect yours. I want to protect mine. It's our only chance for peace.
Are you aware?
No!
They are going to turn on you.
That's right. Next time we're talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes with returning special guest Evan McDonald of the Kino Lefter podcast. So make sure to watch it before next episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap. Bye.
Bye for now.